films of the original trilogy, Prom Queen mixes elements of Carrie and Scream with more twists and turns than the Diddy trial. So follow me as we look into how this film fits into the Fear Street universe and see if you can guess who the killer is. Because when they revealed who it was, I was like, what? But before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe. I never got to go to my prom, and this is as close as I'll ever get. To really understand Fear Street Prom Queen, we have to look at it within the context of the Fear Street franchise. While not a part of the original Netflix trilogy, which came out in 2021, Prom Queen is set in the same horror universe. Skip ahead to this time code if you don't want spoilers from the first 3 movies. Fear Street, based on the R.L. Stine novels of the same name, is set in the fictitious town of Shadyside. Since 1666, the town has been under the curse of the witch Sarah Fier, whose last name sounds suspiciously like Fear. But if you've seen the final film of the trilogy, you'll know its big twist. Sarah was framed, and the real villain was a man by the name of Solomon Good. He made a deal with the devil, the soul of another, in exchange for power and success. As long as his family kept giving up these souls, they would remain rich and powerful. Their victims' names would become carved in stone. Who they chose would become possessed and go on a murderous rampage until they were killed, essentially locking Shadyside in this constant state of eternal suffering. Fear Street Prom Queen takes place in 1988. That's 10 years after the massacre at Camp Nightwing, the setting for the second film. In fact, we'll see a little nod to Camp Nightwing on the wall at Shadyside High. Prom Queen also takes place 6 years before Shadyside's curse is broken at the Shadyside Mall. Although Prom Queen is its own separate film that doesn't directly connect to Shadyside's curse. We will see some Sarah Fier graffiti, and one of the officers talks about the massacre we'll see at the high school being worse than Camp Nightwing. Megan will also do this cutting off her hand prank, which is what happened to Sarah in 1666. Now, there is another connection that links this story with the curse, but we'll get into that at the end with this story's brief mid-credit scene. Prom Queen follows Laurie Granger. The name Laurie derives from the Latin word laurel, meaning victorious and triumphant, and a laurel looks a bit like a prom queen's tiara, which she ends up winning. So I thought that was a pretty fun thing to call her, especially considering the main character from the book is named Lizzie. The 1988 school year is coming to an end, which means voting is underway for this year's prom queen. And the 6 nominees are Christy Renaud, the school's drug dealer, Tiffany Falconer, the frontrunner and Regina George of Shadyside, her friends, and good old Laurie, who doesn't have a chance in hell.
It would be a cold night in hell if I actually won prom queen.
But even though she probably won't win, she's not entirely doing this for herself. She's doing this for her mom, who years ago was the front runner to win her prom, but the event was cancelled due to the murder of Laurie's dad. A murder Laurie's mother was accused of. One by one, the prom queen nominees are brutally killed by a masked assailant in a red raincoat. The first to go is Christy the drug dealer, who happens to be the only one of the girls to not die at the high school. Is this person under the control of Sarah Fier's curse, or is this someone acting on their own? Only 23 minutes into the movie, it's already prom night, where the majority of our story takes place, and it's already not looking good for Laurie. The girls have excluded her from their festive prom queen dance, leaving her to be like,
I need them to notice me. That's the whole point.
Linda and her boyfriend Bobby are the next to go. In search of her prom queen flyers, the two are brutally murdered in an empty classroom, with poor Bobby here losing both his hands to a paper trimmer. So already our 6 prom queen candidates are down to 4, and we don't know the identity or motive behind the killer. There's also this fun side plot where Christy's 30-year-old boyfriend comes looking for her since no one seems to care where she's been, and he says,
I've been with that girl for 2 months. I know her better than anyone.
In true horror movie fashion, one by one, our victims separate themselves from the main dance to slowly get picked off. Next is Debbie, who receives a heartwarming gift from her man Judd, who stole this jewelry from his mom. She has one of my favorite kills in the movie, falling into the electrical circuits and frying to death while Judd gets a power saw to the face. Now we get to see just how mean Tiffany is to Laurie. She echoes this vicious rumor about Laurie's mother, stating that her mom, Rosemary, Rosemary fell in love with her dad, but that he never loved her and was using her as an easy lay. Now pregnant with Laurie and filled with rage, she cut his throat, but the police couldn't prove she was the one to do it. This would make Laurie Rosemary's baby, and if you've seen that movie, you'll know that child is the spawn of Satan. So now, could it be someone close to Laurie who's perpetrating these murders so that she'll win? Tiffany's friend Melissa, who sees just how mean Tiffany is, comforts Laurie but is quickly put in her place. This forces her to get changed in the washroom, where we're dealt with our first big twist of the movie. The redcoat killer marks Melissa as the next to go, but it's revealed there are actually 2 killers and Melissa is dead meat. Meanwhile, Laurie gets in a fight with her best friend after she interrupted her kiss with her crush, Tyler. Megan informs her about all these missing people, the man in the red coat, and she's concerned for Laurie's safety. But Laurie thinks she's just jealous.
I can't hold your hand forever, Megan.
Watch this, Lise. You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now!
She storms off with Tyler, who's hoping to get a little something something, but instead gets a big something in the middle of his skull. Laurie runs, bumping into Megan, and the two fight off one of the killers, eventually managing to escape from the basement window. Now, this is where things get completely unhinged. Laurie returns to warn everyone of the killer just as she's named Prom Queen, and in the chaos, the killer goes on a murderous spree, killing anyone in his path on his way to Laurie. At this point, this guy does not care about getting caught. As Megan is about to be chopped liver, Laurie uses her Prom Queen tiara to jab the killer in the eye, going on to reveal himself as none other than Tiffany's father. His shocked wife asks why he would do such a thing, and he says,
"Because I knew how much you wanted it."
Both he and his wife have been living vicariously through their daughter Tiffany, and he was willing to do anything to make sure she won Prom Queen. That's a good dad. But that still leaves one other killer on the loose. Who was Tiffany's dad working with? Laurie offers to go with a shell-shocked Tiffany back to her place as Tiffany's mom is interviewed by Sheriff Good. If you've seen the original trilogy, you'll know he's the father of Nick Good, who we've seen as both a teenager and adult. Tiffany confides in Laurie that she was never any good enough for her parents, which might explain why she was such a bully to her.
I was never good enough. I always tried so hard to be everything that they wanted.
But more twists are just around the corner. With Laurie keeping Tiffany company at her place, Tiffany's mom returns, revealing herself to be the second killer. Laurie and Tiffany run, hiding in the closet, a clear homage to Halloween, where Tiffany makes the shocking revelation that she's in on it too. The entire family are Prom Queen killers. With nowhere to go, Laurie is trapped at the top of the staircase, where we uncover a horrific connection between them and Laurie's father. Laurie's mother was never a killer like the rumors said. It was Tiffany's mom who killed him all those years ago. Laurie's father chose Rosemary and not Tiffany's mom, fueling her bloodlust. Tiffany says she's the one who wants to finish off Laurie, and in one of the best kills in the movie, Laurie kicks her over the banister where she's impaled. That still leaves Tiffany's mom as Laurie fights her off to survive, ultimately using one of Tiffany's trophies to bash her over the head. It's kind of ironic that she's killed by an object she pushed her own daughter to win. Whereas the beginning of the film, Laurie thought of herself as a cursed woman who would either end up dead or a killer before graduation, the end of the film sees her owning it.
I'm Laurie Granger.
Now, there is a brief mid-credit scene where we see Tiffany's mom, who appears dead, and a pool of blood that's turned into the satanic symbol found in the original trilogy. Could it be that the Falconer family was under the Shadyville curse all along? And that's where I turn it over to you. What did you think of Fear Street Prom Queen, and